Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. Tonight, the FBI is investigating the three most recent mass shootings that seem to have further divided America as acts of domestic terrorism.
This as President Trump prepares to visit this weekend shooting scenes in Dayton, Ohio and El Paso, Texas, where a total of 31 people were killed and dozens more injured.
As the nation continues to debate what possibly can be done to stop this kind of violence, the families of the Dayton gunman and the accused El Paso shooter are both breaking their silence.
CBS's Hillary Lane has more from El Paso.
Speaking through a local police chief, the parents of gunman Connor Betts expressed grief over the loss of lives in Dayton, Ohio Sunday, including that of their own daughter, Megan.
They offer their most heartfelt prayers and condolences to all the victims, their families, and friends.
While the motive for the attack that killed 9 people remains unclear, more details are emerging about Betts, including signs of possible mental instability and bloodlust. His ex-girlfriend, Adelia Johnson, says every system failed him.
I'm not shocked he did something horrific because he had untreated problems. I am shocked that he did it to this level.
President Trump is traveling to Dayton, Ohio Wednesday, then will fly here to El Paso. But not everyone is welcoming his visits.
A lot of people are up. They don't want him here. They're upset because of what he's been saying.
In my opinion, I don't think it's time for him to come.
Authorities say the gunman in the El Paso shooting targeted Hispanics and may have been motivated by hate. Patrick Crucius is accused of killing 22 people at a Walmart on Saturday.
You hear boom, 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 and you can tell it's coming in because it's echoing louder.
The Crucius family released a statement saying he was, quote, apparently influenced and informed by people we do not know and from ideas and beliefs that we do not accept or condone. Police say Crucius is cooperating but has expressed no remorse. Hillary Lane, CBS News, El Paso, Texas.
Ohio's Republican governor is pushing a gun control package that includes a background check and so-called red flag law.
It would allow authorities to remove guns from someone deemed by a court to be dangerous.
As our country reels from the mass shooting tragedies, Montana law enforcement is on a mission to prepare for the worst.
Today, Montana State University police and other agencies teamed up to train for a similar situation close to home. Today's annual training, sponsored by the FBI, carried a little extra weight.
It's critical. MSU being ready and having the ability to respond, we're talking nearly 17,000 young people in a very confined space.
Since Columbine, law enforcement response to active shooters has changed dramatically. We no longer can wait for backup, and so an officer may have to go in solo and engage an active shooter, and that's why this training is so important.
Now, training will continue on the Bozeman campus until Thursday.
Well, the recent mass shootings have a lot of us wondering, what if it happens here?
It's something Billings Police Chief Rich St. John was asked about during last night's City Council session.
Are we prepared for an active shooter situation?
We certainly are. You always hope that it's never going to happen, and in today's day and age, it's not a matter of if, it's when. We train to a standard, and the active shooter is the highest standard that we train to.
Billings Police will go through more active shooter training later this week at the Billings Career Center, along with Billings Fire and other agencies.
Well, a young boy is inspiring thousands of people to participate in a movement called the El Paso Challenge. He wants everyone to do something nice for someone else as a way to pay respect to the victims of this weekend's shooting. Thomas Hoppe introduces us to the amazing 11-year-old behind the idea.
Scared, I guess. People are just scared right now.
How do you explain this to a child?
My son, after Saturday, he did come and ask if we could find a grocery store that delivered groceries because he didn't want to have to go out to the stores anymore.
I was scared. She talked to me. She said, I don't know why some people do that, but you and me are safe now.
I said, well, this person, was not from El Paso. He came here. He was full of hate. I said, but that doesn't define what people in El Paso are.
How do you help them overcome fear?
We cannot stay home. We cannot be afraid. I said we cannot live in fear. We're going to have to go out.
You fight tragedy with hope.
He wants to do each person to do one good deed in memory of each person that passed away.
El Paso Challenge is about honoring the 22 people who were killed during the shooting.
You fight hate with love.
But we want to show everyone that El Pasoans are good people.
You fight fear with kindness.
Do you guys accept?
Accept. Absolutely.
This is our city. And I think we're going to show them just the opposite of just how much we come together.
One act of kindness for each soul.
You know, like mowing the lawn, donating to charity, visiting a nursing home.
One for Margie, one for Ivan and Maria, one for all of them.
He set an example not only for the kids his age, but for people like me that are much older. And I respect him for that.
We now live in a world where a child has to explain this to adults.
It doesn't really matter what age it is. We should just help everybody.
In El Paso, I'm Thomas Hoppe.
Closer to home tonight, the shooting death of a western Montana woman is now ruled a homicide. Police say Julie Blanchard was shot by Jonathan Birch in Missoula back in March, that same incident that included Trooper Wade Palmer. A Washington coroner says Blanchard died June 3rd from complications of multiple gunshot wounds to her chest and torso. What authorities say started as a road rage shooting killed Shelley Hayes of Missoula and left Blanchard's son Casey and Trooper Wade Palmer critically injured.
Well, fortunately, no one was hurt, but a house fire in Lockwood this afternoon caused between $40,000 and $60,000 in damage. Lockwood Fire Chief John Staley says that fire at 1506 Tigard Avenue originated from an electrical problem with a light fixture in the bathroom of the home. Fire crews from Lockwood, Billings, and Shepherd had that fire contained within an hour. Staley says the single-story trailer home is a total loss and had little to salvage. Now, fire officials will investigate the cause further to determine if a short circuit or overheating caused that fire.
New information tonight on a plane crash that claimed the lives of 2 people in Roosevelt County yesterday. An FAA spokesperson tells Q2 a Cessna 182L crashed around 2:30 Monday afternoon, about 25 miles north of Wolf Point. Roosevelt County Sheriff Jason Frederick says 2 men died when the plane went down, and dental records are now being used to identify the victims. The Federal Aviation Administration says the fixed-wing single-engine Cessna is registered to a Wyoming resident. Sheriff Frederick said the plane took off from somewhere in Wyoming. No word yet on the cause of the crash. The FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board are investigating.
The state's Political Practices Commissioner has dismissed a state Republican Party ethics complaint against Governor Bullock.
The state's GOP's complaint targeted Bullock's use of state security protection while campaigning for president or doing other political activities. But Commissioner of Political Practices Jeff Mangan dismissed that complaint Monday. He says Bullock was not a candidate for president until May 14th, so the law against using state money to promote a candidacy does not apply to activity before that date.
And he says the security for Bullock is authorized by law and did not promote any candidacy during 3 campaign trips in May.
As of July 2nd, Bullock's campaign renegotiated an agreement with the state Justice Department.
His presidential campaign agreed to pay any incidental costs when the security detail accompanies him on those campaign trips.
Well, turning to weather, Bob, there's no doubt summer caught up with us, and those 90s have certainly held on.
We were looking back to see, well, how long have these 90s been here? So we went all through August. And yeah, we've had 90s here every day in August. But then we started going back in July. Take a look at this. You see, look at all those 90s. We had 5 days in a row from July 31st through the 4th of August where we're at least 98 degrees or even a little higher than that. And look at all those go back into July. The ones that are in the blue, those are the ones that didn't get into the 90s. So basically, you're looking where we had 19 of the last 28 days where temperatures were in Billings were in the 90s or warmer. So it's just been a really hot couple of months here, and it looks like we're still looking at things going to finally start cooling down a little bit, but we still got 2 more days of getting into the 90s. But the closer we get to the weekend, the cooler the temperatures will get, and we'll talk about that coming up in a few more minutes.
Wow, thanks so much, Bob.
Well, the horsefly fire burning near Lincoln has now charred around 500 acres after it first broke out yesterday afternoon.
It's overtaken the Black Diamond fire and even prompted evacuations today. Tonight, MTN's Christine Sullivan shares a message from law enforcement about public safety.
Fire crews continue their efforts to suppress and limit the spread of the horsefly fire just outside of Lincoln. The fire has already forced evacuations from more than 20 homes in Flesher Acres, as well as closing the Continental Divide Trail and closing Flesher Pass to cyclists.
Well, a big concern right now is the people that are traveling on Flesher and hindering crews as they're trying to move in and out of there. So we're really asking people to avoid Flesher Pass if they can. But really important that they stay out of the way. There's so many crews, fire crews, engines going through there. The safety of the public and our crews is really a huge concern right now.
Today's efforts utilize air resources, including air tankers and helicopters. Ground crews were working on a way to find access to the fire, but the terrain and forest health has proven difficult.
As you can see here, many of these trees have died as a result of beetle kill, which causes the wood to become dry and brittle, and that poses a significant threat to firefighters.
Over the past years, that dead standing has started to fall to the ground, and that creates quite a bit of fuel load, especially on the ground. So when a fire moves through, not only does it have the opportunity to reach those big logs and really create a lot of momentum with that, but it also then reaches up into some of the dead trees that are still standing, and then we get what are called crown fires that move very fast because they get picked up by the wind.
Reporting in Helena, Christine Sullivan, MTN News.
Up next on Q2, China's latest hit against the U.S. puts a target on farmers and ranchers, even those here in Montana will have reaction.
And in sports, she is just 15 years old, but one of our local basketball standouts has already signed a college scholarship with the Lady Grizz. She'll talk to Scott.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger, Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire, and sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.